Ben McKee, West Rucker here in Columbia, South Carolina with our full court press following Tennessee's big win over South Carolina to secure the SEC regular season championship, Tennessee's first outright championship since 2008, the third in program history, and the 12th all-time if you include the championships that it has won over the years, last doing so in 2018 when they shared with Auburn during the Grant and Admiral years. Just a really, we'll talk about the basketball game in a second, but a great night for the Tennessee basketball program.
Yeah, I mean, this group of guys in particular, those fifth-year guys, that have been around for so long, and even those, third and fourth-year guys too, they've been through a little bit here at Tennessee. There's a lot of expectations, haven't always, kind of at net cutting time, they've not always kind of gotten it done there at the end. This group got it done. And this is, I'm telling you, this is as good as the SEC has been in a while. That they just played one of the really good teams in this league. Tennessee got a tough draw this year with the head-to-head matchups. Everything about this was a little bit tough, but you know what? You want to have a program where you have expectations like that, and then you meet them, right? And I like that some of the players are saying, hey, 1 down, 2 to go. I mean, they are not, they're happy with this. They're going to celebrate. It's going to be a happy flight home.
They were very happy.
But they feel like they got work to do.
Absolutely. They do have work to do, and I even appreciated a couple of them, Jonas and Dalton, speaking to us in the tunnel. They didn't even skip to the SEC tournament in the NCAA tournament. They mentioned it, but first things first was Kentucky on Saturday. So they absolutely do have the right mindset. But this is something to appreciate. It's something to be proud of. Winning the SEC is significant, even if the big dance is around the corner.
Sure. I mean, this is, in addition to this league being the best it's ever been, one of the best programs in the history of the sport has sort of won this league so often throughout the years, and it's always kind of there. And it was kind of there in the mix this year, too, one of your biggest rivals. And you take those guys down, regardless of what happened Saturday, you've gotten one on those guys and you've won the title. I mean, this Auburn is like a team that could go to a Final Four. Kentucky is a team that with the right matchup could be interesting. Alabama is no slouch whatsoever offensively. South Carolina, physically, very, very tough team. Florida's playing really good ball right now. This is a really good league right now. And to get this league, you win the SEC in anything, you've done something. When you've done something from just like the third or fourth time in program history, you've done it, celebrate it. Don't qualify it, don't ignore it, don't sidestep it. Enjoy it like it's a big thing.
Yeah, and as a college athletics fan myself, I don't ever want to reach a point to where conference championships are no longer celebrated. I feel like that's a huge part of why a lot of people love college athletics. The national championship's the big thing, but the rivalries within the conference and the intense competition is kind of, I think, why we all love college athletics. You mentioned it being a hard-fought, physical basketball game. That's what Rick Barnes said afterwards about this game. Wasn't always the prettiest at times for either offense, but I do think that's a result of two physical basketball teams laying it all out on the line for an SEC championship.
Yeah, Tennessee did some things that hurt Tennessee tonight. We can't ignore that. But some of those misses on those dunks and those shots inside, things like that, they shouldn't happen as much as they did, but things like that are going to happen in a game this physical. I mean, you don't win a game like this as much as you survive it. And then you put it on the back of last week with Auburn and Alabama. Like, these are young guys, but that's 3 really physical games back-to-back, 2 of them on the road. And maybe down the stretch, maybe they got a little fatigued, maybe here and there. Maybe got thinking they got a little too comfortable too early in the second half. But I'll tell you, this was a tough place to play tonight. This was a good team they played, and those guys made it hard. Like, that's the way they play. It is a physical altercation. Every single possession is. And these refs, it was prison rules out there. They weren't going to call anything. You had to earn it, and these old guys, they earned it.
Yeah, and I thoroughly enjoyed not calling all the ticky-tack every time. The polar opposite of Pat Adams on Saturday in Tuscaloosa, and I enjoyed every second of it.
Your lips to God's ears.
Amen to that. Dalton Knecht was Dalton Knecht once again.
Yeah, what else can you say at this point? I mean, 3 times or 4 times in the first half alone, this arena tried to get loud, and it started like, okay, here it comes. Every single time that Joker hit a 3 and shushed him. One time Gainey did, that was a really big shot too. But South Carolina never led in this game. It never once led. And a lot of times it was because when the Gamecocks got close, 3 said no. Like, he just said no. Like, I'm just going to score over your entire team. I'm going to dunk it. I'm going to hit 3s. You're not going to stop me. And again, it's a shame that as good as Zach Edey is, Dalton Knecht's really good too. Really, really. There's a lot of years where he'd be the National Player of the Year. This might not be one of those years, but would Tennessee trade him for anybody?
No, I would not, and then I just wouldn't. I mean, I think it's as simple as that. But he even did some things that he hasn't done this season: make a 4-point play, make 3 straight threes. I don't think he's done that this season. I wouldn't be surprised if he is, but I don't recall it. Last thing, quickly on the way out the door, the biggest difference tonight for me was Jonas Adu and Zakai Ziegler. They were not good in the first matchup. They were good tonight.
Yeah, and Ziegler in the first half, I thought it was a very Ziegler first half in that even when he's not at his best, he still usually can just cut your throat there at the end. And that big shot at the end of the first half was a big deal. That, again, turned the momentum a little bit. But he had, I think, about 5, 5, and 5 or something like that in the first half. And Adu, man, I'm telling you, Mac is a tugboat in there. That's a big dude. That's a really, really big physical guy who's also a couple years, I think, older than Jonas Adu. And he's a physical force in there. And so is that South Carolina freshman. As long as he's here, that team's going to be pretty good. That kid's really good. I mean, those guys are good in the paint, and they didn't make anything easy. And Adu would tell you he should have made about 3 more shots probably, but the stuff that he did, don't ignore that. Like, he had a really big game, and he and Ziegler, we talked about it going into this game, they were not good last time. If they're good this time, Tennessee wins. They were good enough for Tennessee to win.
Absolutely. Tennessee is SEC regular season champions. Still a lot to play for, but a lot to celebrate tonight if you are a member of the basketball program and a fan of Tennessee basketball. Another big one coming up on Saturday, the regular season finale against Kentucky in Tennessee's home building on Senior Day. We've got plenty of coverage coming up with that, but first we're going to give you plenty of coverage of this SEC championship win over South Carolina. He's Wes Rucker. I'm Ben McKee.